Hi, friends. This is Jennifer with Jen Open Hearts, and I am a student of human design, somebody who's been studying it for some time. And I just wanted to share a little bit about human design projectors and also some self love tips or self appreciation tips that one can use if you find out you are a human design projector. And so, to find this out, you'll need your birth date, your birth time, and birthplace. And you'll enter it into a platform. You could use myhumandesign.com or Genetic Matrix. Those are two of my favorites. And basically, human design is a kind of like a spiritual system, a cosmic blueprint, if you will, to help align you back into your most authentic self and ultimately to give you greater permission to be more of yourself. So I found out about it a number of years ago and it really changed my life because I realized, oh, I'm different than what the masses are. And so that gave me permission to rest more, to take it easy, to be impactful, to not overwork and overdo this or overdo that. So it just gave me, again, this permission slip. I'm a 5-1 ego manifester. And so I'm a non sacral, meaning I don't have this extensive battery that I can just like push and push and push through. And so yesterday I had a really wonderful human design reading with a splenic projector. And it was just so confirming because this person was literally glowing as I was sharing some of their chart details. And it felt like such a gift. And I wanted to share some of those here. And so projectors are special, as we all are. But projectors are about 20% of the population, and they're known as non sacral. I like to view them through the lens of being kind of like the seer, seeing deeply into others, the guide. Kind of like the New World CEO is language that Jenna Zoe likes to use, but they have this capacity to really understand patterns and to look into the energetics. And what I feel from projectors is that their aura or their ability to influence and affect people is very intimate and it's very penetrating. So projectors have this very, yeah, I think intimate is the best way to describe it. And it's really beautiful. For me as a manifester who has a more closed aura, I feel when I am with a projector, I'm like, uh-oh, they can really see me. And this makes me kind of uncomfortable. And I don't get that with all energy types. And so I just think it's really good intel to remember that you're not just digesting what you physically see in your environment of flowers on the table, person walking in the door, but more or less you're seeing kind of like, instead of seeing like this, you're seeing like this and then even more. So it's like there's this depth of ability to see, like I said, not just physically but energetically. So there's also this notion of needing to rest and relax and find your armchair, find your nest, and really um yeah, marinate in what you experienced instead of moving on to the next thing. It can be easy to fall into the mindset of like a generator type that's here to do, but there needs to be this kind of space for rest and decompressing because oftentimes many projectors have a lot of open energy centers, and so they're sampling information from all different avenues of human experience. And so just giving yourself that grace and that permission to rest more, to decompress more, and to really be um, refined about who you're letting into your orbit and how they make you feel. If somebody makes you feel tired after being with them, it could be because you're absorbing a certain kind of energy that's no longer in alignment. So I think it can be really fruitful for projectors and those who have a lot of open centers is to find that rest and relaxation and to really allow yourself to have permission for that, because sometimes you're like, I need to be doing, I need to be successful, amounting to things, like all this stuff. So that's one thing I wanted to say. And then another thing that's really a common theme with projectors is this notion of their strategy for how they're meant to use their energy. And so for a projector, that is to be invited, which sounds kind of like disempowering, right? Like I need to be invited. But I like to reframe that and say, I need to shine so brightly, being a light, being a lighthouse, going down my niche rabbit holes and explorations, that I kind of have my focus in the things that I love, and that I want, and that I'm excited by and interested in. And I do that so well that I transform my whole life because I've been so focused and I haven't been exporting my validation from other people. And because of that magnetic quality of becoming almost like the lighthouse that maybe was a dim light before, but is fueling itself with so much excitement and joy and curiosities of life, that it gets brighter and brighter, that this lighthouse is magnetic, that people start to go towards it like, oh, what's going on in that lighthouse? It's so shimmery and wonderful and bright. So I just want to validate the projectors out there who are like, can get bitter, right? The not self theme of like, oh, I'm getting bitter. Nobody's noticing how good I am. And like, um, I'm getting resentful because people aren't seeing me. So it's like, you really have to, one, see yourself, and two, remember that an invitation from another person isn't like, every time you do something, invitation, 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 more so that they've let you into their world and kind of seen you and accepted you and your gifts as they are, that the invitation is open. So it's not like, oh, I can't, do this because the invitation's not there. It's like, no, that person's already opened the door in the past. And so you could, ask and say, hey, I've been working on this. Maybe you've heard me talk about it, or maybe you've seen some improvements, right? And so, how do we have that proper exchange of energy for a projector, right? It starts with being seen, being valued, um, being appreciated and noticed, right? And not because you're like, notice me, but it's more like, I'm shining so brightly that you cannot help but to notice me. So there's this deep penetrating aura, this deep intimacy that is beautiful and wonderful, and it can see very, very deeply. And then there's this aspect of shining so brightly that you release resentment. And so I'm going to end with just a few thoughts on like self-care, self-love for projectors. And to me, that relates to having time for yourself, right? We talked about that, decompressing, having your nest, having your cozy environment that helps you feel at peace. It could be by a river, a stream, the ocean, a patch of moss, a home with a bunch of books in it. Those are things that bring me a lot of comfort and joy, but we each have our own recipe. And so, really want to encourage you to listen to your body and to listen to your inner compass. And for a projector, that relates to themes and feelings of success, like, oh, this feels really nice, right? That feeling. We all know it, and we all have different expressions of it. And so, what is creating bitterness is probably moving away from that sense of success. So, just really tuning into what is my armchair, what is my space of rest. And then another kind of tip for self care or self love is not or taking inventory of the bitterness that you have experienced in your life. I know you could write a list like, I felt bitter with dot, 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 and write out the situation, become aware of it, release it, let it go. Notice that maybe this person didn't see you or respect you, or maybe they didn't ask for advice, right? Projectors are so wise, sitting in their nest in their tree, and they're just watching and seeing the deep patterns of life and the mystery of it all, and they're like, they should be doing this, and I'm going to tell them, but they didn't ask me. So it's like, really, yeah, just being okay with that. Like, resentment is just a natural feeling in the body, and to me it feels like a constriction or a heaviness. And so, just noticing, where is that for you, and maybe just trying to re-energetically align yourself with a correct exchange, right? So it feels empowering, and it's exciting to excavate ourselves and to understand more about who we are and how we're walking forward. And that's what I feel for projectors, is like, oh, okay, this is true right now. And I can move forward towards my feelings of success. And then lastly, just a little tidbit is like, write out, what does success mean for me? And success doesn't necessarily have to mean like financial gains or accruing wealth, although it doesn't have to be that, it can be part of it. But you could write like success means to me. And then you could write like, whatever it is, having an aligned wardrobe, working out daily, having flowers weekly, feeling like I can eat popcorn and watch Netflix. I don't know, whatever it needs to be. Getting my trying to think what else is coming to mind. I can't think. Um, hmm. Yeah, it's so unique for everyone. I don't have the answer, and I'm not going to push mine in this space. But yeah, one last one that's coming to mind is like having a weekly hangout or a weekly touch point with this family member, right? Like a success can mean many different things. I'm selling um, my workshop and I have filled every seat, 20 seats at this price. So you can get creative. You know who you are, you know what you desire, it feels good. And it's all intelligence, right? It's all something that's steering us closer to ourselves and who we want to be and what we want to experience in this life. And just getting curious about success. What does that feel like in your body? What does it look like in your daily life? What does it look like in your routines and your thoughts, in your habits, right? All these aspects of life. But so excited to continue these journeys and grateful for my first YouTube live. Hope it's good. And I hope this helps someone. Feel free to check out my website at jenopenhearts.com. I have some resources and support for all human design types and also spiritual, intuitive business entrepreneurs. And I love to support people via the heart and personal curiosities and growth. So wishing you a wonderful day and yeah, enjoy.